husband in 1997, God spoke to my husband and I, and he said, move to Nashville. We had never been to Nashville. We didn't know anybody in Nashville. Now we're in our 30s and we're moving to Nashville. Things that was on the inside of me that I didn't even know exist begin to grow. That soil produced something totally different. In Kansas City, I remember our last 2 years in Kansas City, I started feeling like I don't belong here. It was the strangest thing. Like, I didn't feel like I was at home anymore. I didn't feel like I could hear God or see God or perceive God. And there was nothing wrong. A lot of times there's nothing wrong with the seed. Sometimes the geographical location just can't produce. I travel back and forth to Cambodia probably every other month. In Cambodia, they have fruit that we don't have, that just couldn't grow. I don't care if we pray in tongues. I don't care if you water it. I don't care what you do. It just won't grow because it requires a geographical location. So even when we're talking about purpose and when we're talking about the journey and when we're talking about believing bigger, sometimes you need a geographical location. You need people, and you need to realize that the world need to see you and learn how to be that hybrid leader that know how to lead, not just in your box, but lead outside your box and lead regardless of where you are. So let's dive into our first question. Our first question is how to discover purpose. I'm just going to start out by telling our audience that, you guys, purpose is in us and not around us. And a lot of times the reason why we can't find purpose is because God was so strategic in hiding it in a place that would be so easy for us to find. And we keep looking around when it's within us. And we don't realize that we are more purpose than we are person. A lot of times we focus on the person when really the person was built around the purpose. And it's that thing that comes natural without effort, without struggle. And usually our purpose is that thing that, we call this whole thing, we call nothing, because somebody said, oh my God, it comes so easy and so natural to us that we call it this whole thing. It's usually that thing that we think everybody else is stupid because they can't do it, because it's that easy for us, because we're more purpose than we are person. So speak to that, Marshawn.
Sure.
Speak to that.
Well, first of all, I'm still trying to get up from the soil thing that you just talked about, because so part of the reason we can stay misaligned is because what you just said about soil, and what you really are saying is you've got to be, your placement matters, your alignment matters, where you are. It takes maturity and humility to be able to recognize what's required to move. So you may not like what the invitation looks like. So and this is in doing the work of helping people step into their assignment, because I think calling and purpose are a little bit different. I love the way you describe purpose as well. So we have lots of synergy there. But with what I have recognized is that people, especially, this is hard for believers because we've not been built to be builders. The problem sometimes is that we believe a little too much and we don't have the skill of building. And so when it comes time to learn how to, let's say in me going to law school, just like you said, if you plant the seed from a plant that only can grow in the climate that is Cambodia, it doesn't matter how much you fast and pray, right? But when it comes to changing your life, we want to place these parameters on how God has to do it in order for it to be a godly thing. So in my space, I decided when I started coaching it, I wanted to be the Rolls Royce of coaching. I wanted to be an example of being a woman of color, and a woman of color of faith that operated at the highest of high levels as a believer and didn't have to accept pennies. And so my coaching programs, my very first coaching program that actually sold, my one that I did lower price didn't do anything, but my first coaching program was $10,000. And then the range really has been between $15,000 to $50,000. And I recognized now, and even I had an indication then, because I didn't see anyone who looked like me who did that. So it required me to step up how I think and also how I invested to become the person that I desired. Now, what does this have to do with your question about purpose? Right now, we're looking at purpose as though it's a career. And I don't believe your purpose is a career. If that is the case, then that means going to the cross was a job for Christ. Okay? And that means that Mary delivering Christ was a career. And that also means that if that was the sole aspect of her purpose, one act in life, that means she had no more value. right? After the birth, after raising, when Jesus turns 30, what does that mean? I don't matter anymore? Does that mean God only needed me for something else and then my life no longer seeks to exist? No, God infinitely cares about every single detail and has a massive plan for each of us that is interconnected, right? So as I've been working with women, what I notice is that we will say, well, that's too hard. I'm not going to invest into this type of thing. Maybe it's something like iJourney, or with me, it's been the coaching programs or courses and things like that. And so we keep ourselves locked out of becoming who we're supposed to be because we don't like the requirements of the soil transfer, like for us to transfer into a new space. And I believe that these things are these mental limitations that stop us from being able to discover what our unique divine design is. So when I talk about purpose, or how I see purpose is a part of your DNA. It is who you are. It's more about your personality than it is what it is that you do. And we have, especially in this whole girl boss movement, and for years, I think the church has really mistaught purpose. It's not about what you do. And we've also defined calling as though it's something that you do in terms of going into ministry. That most of us learn about spiritual gifts and spiritual assignment within the four walls. So much so that when God calls us, we don't know what to do with that. And so then we start operating as a ministry, even if we have the mantle for business. Because we've never seen it, we've never been taught it, and we've never been told really what James 1:17 means, which says every good and perfect gift is from above. For me, I had to recognize through rejection, really, that it's not my fault that income generation is a superpower and it's a supernatural gift. It's not my fault. Income generation is a gift. It's not my purpose. It's not my purpose. It's an ability that I have. My gifts are tied to what I do. I know we're going to get to gifts. My gifts are tied to what I do. We've been taught the wrong order. We've been taught that your purpose is about what you do. Our purpose is about our personality. It's the natural impact that your life is designed to have. And it's a way that you effortlessly, without trying, move other people forward. Okay? I believe our purpose is tied into our voice, how we think, how we see, how we speak, how we show up, our demeanor, our personality. And so some people, they just naturally have a joy to them. And we think that that's not valuable because we have been conditioned around struggle. We've been conditioned to value the things that are difficult. Phrases that are very dangerous, but that we have normalized are anything worth having is worth working for. But what about grace, where something is that you've been given that is your wealth strategy, that is your miracle strategy, it is your ministry, it's also your business, it's all in one, and you didn't have to earn it. Who said we had to work for it?